Felix here. If you're worried about your favorite tech stocks are going to do this next week, you are in the right place. You're going to go through NVIDIA, Palantir, SoFi, Tesla, Amazon, PayPal, Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the VIX, CLSK, crypto territory, and MSTR, also crypto territory. And I'm insanely excited today. I also got some very exciting news to share with you, which I shall do in a moment. But let's jump straight into NVIDIA here. And NVIDIA has obviously had a tremendous run out since the beginning of 2022. It's up 256% for you buy and hodlers. If you traded it with our little algorithm here, our little indicator here, you'd be up an additional 18%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually insanely hard to beat a rally like this. So basically, when the indicator says green, it's a buy signal. It's an indicator. You still need risk management and everything else. We had that buy signal kick in on the 8th of October. That's a good call so far. We are looking very nicely up. We're trading right now at pretty much the exact peak of July 10th and June 18th. So very, very bullish territory, but there's still a little bit of that hint of resistance that we need to break through here from these two peaks, these two highs, which is what we need to do. So we're going to look, and this is in tradevision.io, by the way. That's the software that we built to basically make quality data available to everybody and the same kind of knowledge that we would have on Wall Street. And you click on the advanced chart on the top right if you want to go a little bit further in, and then you get this chart, which is a little bit more technical. You still have the indicator here on. Again, you can see where we recommended the buy 132, or the indicator did rather. And what do you then see? Well, there is a bit of extra information in here. One is the resistance lines on the way up. The big green lines are your resistance. These are actual positions. These are actual options positions from the market, and most of the market is driven by options on the institutional side, which is why we look at that. And what do you see? You sort of see this resistance from 138 to 145. That's sort of the zone. So what I quite like to do is I'd like to draw in a little box that, because it's always a zone. There is never like one resistance line. It's always a sort of a zone. That here is our resistance zone. So we know that can help us tremendously with risk management, setting up better positions, and so on. And therefore, it's a very, very useful set of tools to have in your pocket. Did I position that right? Approximately, right? They don't have to be exactly right, but you get the idea. So you just know that we hit that 138, 140. We're likely to hit our head unless we get some real big, juicy news coming out of here at NVIDIA land. But yeah, it's just green. It's bullish. It looks good. Options are actually quite cheap if you're into that sort of thing right now. Might be something worth looking at. And if you're wondering, like, how do we figure out where the breakout points are? Where are the buy points, and where should we get out? And I've done this for like well over a decade now. I learned this in an investment bank, and there is a set of rules to it. There are essentially 4 rules to it. Once you master those 4 rules, you will never look at a stock chart again. You will never buy a falling stock again. And you will get out and you'll take profits. And you'll probably make a heck of a lot more money than those people who are just waiting and wishing and praying for stuff to recover. And to share that knowledge with you, rather than explaining it here in a messy way, I've recorded a 30-minute masterclass for you. You just go to felixfriends.org/getfree, felixfriends.org/getfree, because I genuinely believe everybody can become a millionaire from the stock market. It really isn't that hard. You just need to know what to look for. You need to know the rules. You need to know the setups. And it's the same 4 patterns again and again and again and again. And you'll see that a little bit in this video as well. So check that out after this video, felixfriends.org/getfree. I'll put the link down below as well. Moving on then to Palantir, and we'll have a look at the simplified chart here first, which I love, by the way. I think it's just really, really useful to see just the quick trend. So we called it a buy signal here at 26.59. I'd say that was a good call, right? We're at $43.50 right now, which is obviously glorious, and the market is just on a tear. And the beautiful thing with this is that resistance is what I worry about when I get into trades. So normally there is a stock chart, somewhere up here and then down and so on. And what therefore happens is that the buggers who bought up here, they now sell as our stock rallies. But in the case of Palantir, there are no bag holders. there is not a single backholder left in the world, basically. And therefore, it's actually much, much easier to go up. So all-time highs are a wonderful thing for a stock. It looks very bullish to me. Let's have a look at where the resistance sits here for this week, for the coming week at 45. See that there? 45. And then if you go into the following week, it moves to 50. And that's what I really like. So I watch these lines, real positions from the market. And if the stock goes up, I want everybody to go, we're going to move our positions up. Because that's how you know that there is confidence in the broader market that the rally is going to continue. So $50 next. You still need risk management. You need to know when you get out, right? There are points when you get out. Nothing goes up in a straight line. Even Palantir doesn't. And that was a beautiful entry moment here. This one here that'll be called out. And then this is probably your second chance. There's always a dip after the entry point, always. And that was your second chance to fill up the coffers. And now we're rallying very, very nicely. And we're going to get another chance to dip, undoubtedly. We always will. That's just the way it rolls. So, get yourself a week's trial to tradevision.io because it's risk-free, and then come and join my masterclass, links down below. So let's look at SoFi then, which has also been brilliant. Like, our positions are really playing out very nicely here. And look at that. Look at that recovery here, right? Very, very nice. Now, there's still a little bit of resistance, but not a lot. This was now April 2022 is the last time people really bought SoFi who are back holders, right? Okay, there's a tiny little bit here, but that's only a few days. It doesn't really matter. So that's a pretty long time away, and that's good. And maybe it'll take another 4 months to get rid of all these guys so that they give up. And that's basically what happens, right? And these sideways actions, very, very long sideways actions, are a beautiful thing because people give up. Therefore, it means the sellers have sold. And it allows a stock to break out. It's always the same freaking pattern. You just need to know how to spot it. So here on SoFi, I got back in on this. I want to say here, I can't quite remember, but somewhere like that. And we had this sort of zigzag and zigzag. And basically when it zags, I add. And when it zigs, I, in this case, wait. Why? Because we're actually breaking out very beautifully out of this trend here. You see that? How I connected this high and that high and this high and that high, and get a pen as well to show you. All right, so you little line, connect the highs, and each high we're getting is higher, and now we've broken out of that trend again. That's very, very nice. On the downside, we have this high low, that low is higher, and that low is higher than the previous one. So again, we've got a very, very nice trend here. And when would I worry about this? Well, if we broke down and broke through this uptrend, that's when I would pair my trades, because no point in holding on to something that's crashing. Just no real advantage. You could do something better with that money. You could put it into a stock that's actually going up at that particular moment, right? So I'm a big fan of using our money wisely rather than just leaving it in something and it'll eventually get us there. Yeah, it's true, but look at buy and hold in SoFi since 2022. It's down minus 55%. Trading it, up 40%. That's 95% better. That's quite a lot, right? So I think it's worth learning these little rules. So check out the masterclass down below, felixprehn.org/get free, and I'll teach you. Now, Tesla. Tesla is an interesting one. I come from a place where I said I'd never trade Tesla, because we're so insanely erratic. And then the more and more I study Tesla, I've just fundamentally become an absolute abject disciple of this company, because I think they're in the very, very early stages. I think it's a startup. It's basically a startup with 5 employees at this point, with one of the greatest business ideas yet. And it's down, what, 44% since the beginning of 2021. Where is that? Somewhere up here, right? Trading it, we'd be up 81% if we'd follow a little indicator here. Of course, past performance isn't a promise of future performance, all that kind of stuff, but just by, you know, being smart about it. So what happened yesterday? Well, stock tanked, down, I don't know, 10% or something, horrific. And why? Because Wall Street is run by a bunch of short-sighted, mindless nincompoops with zero imagination. They just want to know how much money are you going to make next quarter and the quarter after. And what Tesla announced was something that has no impact on next quarter or the following quarter. Zero impact, right? Robotaxis won't be in production until 2026. Robots maybe even later than that. And everyone's like, oh, it's tough, it's horrible. I'll put out a full video on Tesla on the fundamental story. This video is not really about fundamentals, and I'll walk you through what the numbers look like. And I think it might just, it's very easy to say that stuff's rubbish and that stuff won't work. That's what people always say, which is why we have so few inventors. But there is, you see this blue line here that I put in? So one low, another low. This is where we are right now. So we're still like just about on that uptrend. Just about, right? A little bit more, things look a little dicey. We are below the 50-day moving average line, which is that yellow line here, which definitely isn't brilliant. But we also did that here in August, and the market always exaggerates a little bit. So for me, it's a question of, let's hold on to that, what was 213 or something. That's very important. The positioning support has slipped to 200, that little red line here, which coincides with the longer term moving averages. But just from a simplistic point of view, this is a buy here, not for a short-term trader. For a long-term investor, all is fair and square, and in the long run, everything goes up or we're dead, one or the other. So it doesn't really matter as much. But even for long-term investors, you can still use the same rules, and you can time your entries in a smart way, right? And like the entry was, what was the entry? The entry was basically here. That was the last entry, so somewhere down here. And that's how we make money. And then, yeah, you would have gotten out again here at the top if you were trading it. And then you probably would have gotten in again, yeah, maybe a little later, somewhere here. And then you would have exited again. Now, as our algorithm suggested. Have I? No, I haven't, because I look at this longer trend, but it's a slightly more advanced line to draw it, because you actually have to draw it. But I just think that patience is what's going to make people a lot of money with Tesla. That's really what I look at. So we'll see on that one. You see whether I'm right or wrong on that one. But yeah, it's a bad day. It's a gap down, break through the 50-day, lots of volume, looks terrible. Some people could short it, all that kind of thing. But I think the story is going to end up very, very sweetly. So for me, I have sort of a 2-year horizon on Tesla, by which point I think the market is going to start believing and seeing what the revenue potential is from robotaxis. Do you know how many Uber trips are taken a year? 10 billion. Not kidding you. 10 billion trips are done by Uber. And do you think they're going to do that with drivers or with an autonomous vehicle? If they had the choice, they'd use a Tesla autonomous vehicle. Very simple. Tesla doesn't even have to build out their own network. They just have to sell the cars to, or lease the cars to Uber. Simple as that, or to the drivers, as exactly as Elon said. And then they could run their own fleet. It'd be insanely profitable. Insanely profitable. All right, next stock, Amazon. Moving on swiftly. Amazon, again, it's up only 5% since the beginning of 2022. Trading it, you'd be up 37% if you'd followed our indicator. Of course, no promise of future performance. And we called it a buy here on August 19th. Now, there is a little bit of the caveat that at $200, last time around at least, Bezos was selling a lot. So that's why the stock's sort of hovering a little bit just below that. People are a bit scared to get close to the 200. I haven't loaded up yet on Amazon, but I think it's probably one of the most undervalued large tech companies that's insanely profitable and has an incredible product pipeline out there that I've ever seen. So I like it, to put it short, but what does the chart say? The chart's basically going sideways. We're basically consolidating, and that's really what the chart says to you. It's just not going anywhere. We're at the same place we were in April, right? Nothing's happened, and that's okay. We have massive resistance anywhere, just sort of anywhere below 200, 190, 195, 200, 205. So no one's really expecting that big move breakout. So probably what we need is a breakout above 200, or come down again and really start the rally with some serious oomph. But at the moment, we're not seeing that. So earnings are coming up, 24th of October, I think. That could be a catalyst potentially. But to me, again, Amazon is just such an underrated story. But at the moment, it's a sideways thing. You know how stocks move, right? There are patterns to it. There are 4 patterns to it. I'll teach you a bit more about that also in the masterclass. They consolidate. Get a pen, you could actually see. There we go. They consolidate. You get a breakout, they rally, they consolidate, and then they do want to do things. Either they continue to rally, or more often than not, they collapse somewhat. Then they consolidate, and they do it again, and then they consolidate, and then they'll do it again. And it's just the same pattern over and over again. Once you know how to spot that pattern, you will no longer be a bag holder. You're no longer buying stuff at 200 and then waiting for it to drop to 100 to like average down because it's fun, isn't it? How's that going for you? So there is a better way of doing it. Come and learn it with us. Next is PayPal, which is also one we've been bullish on for quite a while, and it's finally starting to show a heartbeat. So what would you say this pattern is? Well, just look at the stock chart. Buy and hold, down 64% since the beginning of 2022. With trading, we're at 0. That's 65% better. That's still pretty good. And what do you see? Well, you had the collapse, right? And then you had change into consolidation. And guess what? We're still consolidating. And we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. And you know what? That's freaking brilliant, right? Because all the bag holders who bought up here at 200, 300, they've given up. And we want that. We actually want them to give up. Because if they don't, as the stock goes up, those buggers sell because they want to get back to 0. I don't know why people want to get back to 0. 0 isn't really why we trade or invest, is it? Don't you want to make profits? I want to make profits. But we had a nice breakout here at $66. We're now at $80. I think that's a rather good call. It's not bad making that kind of money in, 2-3 months. So what's the trend? I sort of drew it here. One low, second low. You see, you get a breakout here. You always get another chance. You always get a second chance with a breakout, pretty much every time. And then we called it another buy here, went up again. There was your further chance. Broke out again with lots of volume. That was your third chance. And now we're doing very nicely up there. So it looks very, very good. Looks very positive. The resistance is moving up. $90 positions we're seeing now. $90 positions. That's new. Go into next week, and we're seeing more $90 positions. So yeah, you're still going to take out the 85 and 90, but this is new. So market's moving up, stocks moving up. We like it. Meta, another insanely good business, right? And if you'd entered this in the beginning of 2022 here, where is it? Oh, what's going on there? Some sort of stock split thing or something? Or what's going on there? I don't know. Anyway, you'd be up 49%. Brilliant, right? Well, if you just followed the little green dots, you'd be up 175%. And I'm not suggesting you just follow them, by the way. You still need a trading strategy. Without one, you will fall on your face, and you'll bleed. And we don't want you to bleed. So watch the masterclass at felixprehn.org/get free, and you'll actually learn how we spot these breakouts. Most recent breakout at 525. We're now trading at 589. I'd say that's a pretty good one. So not just Zuck is getting rich off this, but lots of us as well, which is nice to see. And if you look at the bit more detailed chart here, the resistance sits at $600. Psychologically, these big round numbers are a thing, and that's just where people position themselves. It's just the market is a very predictable beast. We hit that about 5 days ago up here, came back down. So what do you do? Well, put a line in at $600 and know that's going to be the resistance line. And again, look at the pattern. You see the pattern that I'm talking about, right? Breakout. So consolidation, breakout. And what are we in now? Consolidation. So what happens? Well, either we drop below our lows, in which case we exit or partially exit, or we break through the 600 and we keep going. We don't know that right now, and that's okay. We've got our stop losses set up, and that's it, really. That's all we got to do. We just got to automate our strategy, and it's just same applies, in my opinion, to traders or investors. We're doing the same thing. You're just a bit more aggressive if you're a trader, and you're a bit more calm if you're an investor. But ultimately, it's the same thing, right? You want to get to making your money make your money rather than you work yourself to death. Apple, decent story since the beginning of 2022 here. up 23%. Our little trade vision indicator up 49%. So again, check out the indicator. Links down below, tradevision.io. You can literally test it for a week. If you don't like it, just cancel on day 7. We won't charge you a penny. And check it out. So we actually gave it a buy here at 229. We dropped $2. Doesn't mean a lot, but I wouldn't really buy here, to be honest with you, because what do you see? Consolidation, right? Let's look on the more in-depth chart here. And what do you do with a thing like this? Well, okay, this was the real buy here. That one here. That was the real buy. Lots of volume, breaking through the 50-day, 162. That was the buy. So you rallied that up, took it all the way, and then, yeah, you probably would have gotten out here because your trend changed, or maybe a little bit later, you still would have made money. And right now, again, let me show you the trend. The trend is breakout, right? Money making. You're going down, so you exit there, and then you go into this consolidation sideways pattern where, hang on, where not a lot of stuff happens. So what do you do with that now? Well, the simplest way would be to look at the lows that we've got here, and then you can basically draw a line under those lows. Depends a little bit on where you want to start, but you know, something like that. And just say, well, if I break through that trend, it's only 2, it's not the greatest pattern in the world. You could just say, make it easier. Let's make it simple. You drop below that 50-day moving average line, you're out. Okay, that'd be a reasonable way of looking at it, especially if there's a lot of selling happening that day, a lot of volume happening. But it's just going nowhere. It's just going absolutely nowhere. So wait, see, and either it breaks out because they actually do sell more phones, or it breaks down because they don't. And the competition is, you know, fierce. So that's Apple there for you. Let's have a look then at Google as we run through. So for me, basically, Apple is just nothing. It's neutral. It's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. You're not missing out on any party. Google is one of the underloved ones still. It's only up 4% since the beginning of 2022. Trading it, at least you would have made 20%, which is a heck of a lot better than kicking the groin. And what do you see? Well, breakout, nice rally up, exit, dropped a bit down, and now what are we doing? We're going sideways, right? Are we going sideways? It looks like we're going sideways. And sideways is a consolidation, which nothing wrong with it. It just means we wait and see whether it breaks out again. And see that yellow line here? That's the 50-day moving average line. I just toggled that on here. And if that slopes down, it's a bad thing. Very simple. Sloping down with moving average lines, we wait. We wait till they slope up again. So at the moment, we do nothing. We watch it. Fundamentally, I think it's a good company. But the chart says you could buy it. You could have a knife in your foot, and you can be a bag holder, and your capital will be tied up in something that will underperform for ages. Or you can wait for the moment where it actually becomes a nice rally, and then you make, you know, you go from 140 to 180, which is 40. That's a 30% gain in the space of like 3-4 months. Right? Would you rather make 30% in 3-4 months, or would you rather back hold something for years because it'll recover at one point potentially? Yeah, it probably will. It's a good company, but I know what I'd rather have my money to make money, not sit there waiting. Right? Microsoft, similar story, consolidation. The real rally came here from 329 up to sort of 420 or so. A little bit of a rally after that, but right now we are going absolutely nowhere. Does that make sense? I mean, fundamentally, I think Microsoft are the ones to beat. I think they're going to make more money out of AI than pretty much any other company out there. And what's the market positioning looking like? Well, funnily enough, it's actually quite high. You see the real resistance sits up here, 450 to 460. These green bars there. So you could move our little resistance box up. And that's positive. And that's why I like to put these boxes in, because now I know where it was last week. And now I'm seeing, it's moving up. So the market's getting a little bit more optimistic on this. First low, second low, third low. It's a little touch and go. We're a little bit below the pattern here. So it's a bit dicey right now. But as long as it bounces off it in a sort of a dirty fashion, you know, Bill style, then it might just be all right. But earnings are on the 22nd, so watch out for those. And watch out for how much AI revenue are they bringing in. That's all the market's going to care about. And then obviously guidance, how much are they going to bring in the following quarter. The market's a forward-looking beast. QQQ is actually not doing as well as you'd think. Since the beginning of 2022 here, it's only up 16% by the index, right? If you traded it, at least you'd be up 40%, which is a heck of a lot better. So where are we right now? A little bit like Microsoft land, right? The rally sort of petered out here and just around the 500 mark. And now we're kind of going sideways. And even though we're near 500, and that sort of feels good psychologically, we still haven't really done very much. Yeah, we've taken out the previous high, but now we need to take out that high up there. And look, the highs are still lower over here than they were over there. So 500 is the one to take out. Massive resistance at $500 here for this coming Monday. So it's a hard nut to crack, I'd say. SPY, let's just go straight into the detailed chart here. Again, we've almost doubled the buy and hold strategy over the last 2 years with our little indicator here, calling buys very nicely. And I pretty much always have a SPY trade open. It's just a really nice thing to trade. And good call here at 559. Now we're at 579. And yeah, it continues to be, it's a good story, right? I mean, if you connect the recent 3 lows, that's your trend. So what would you then do? You have that trend. It's just below it. Set a trading stop, maybe at 569 or something like that. And that way you'd lock in those profits no matter what. That's basically what we do. So again, watch the masterclass, all right? Volatility is still at 20. It's pretty high. It's pretty elevated. It's very unusual to get this sort of very nice S&P performance and at the same time a pretty high fear. Pretty unusual. So watch out for some wobbles pre-election. Elections generally wobble people around, and the markets especially. Now, there are a couple of things that I wanted to look at. We don't usually look at that much. Some crypto plays from a stock point of view. And that is CLSK. And it's not really done very much. -3% since the beginning of 2022. Okay, we've had some nice trading runs up here. We're up 40% on that if we had traded it. And there is still this here, right? You see this pattern? These guys here, they're bag holders, right? This is a collective of bag holders. And the risk is, once the stock rallies into that bag holding zone, those buggers are going to sell. And that'll make it harder to break through that. So yes, you can run it up from $9 to 15 or something, but I would probably exit before we get into that zone. And then wait, because it's going to do this for a while, most likely, and then get in again as we rally up. Does that make sense? I hope that makes some sense. So, yeah, a little bit of patience there, I think. But, yeah, it was a very good day for them yesterday, but still going sideways. Still going sideways. MSTR, similar situation, except that the stock's done much better. So it's down 130% since the beginning of 2022. Trading it, you know, we made an extra, 90%? It's pretty respectable. And that's a very different chart because we have exceeded the previous high here, which we struggled with for 1, 2, 3 days in a row. So yes, the buy signal at 144 was a great one, but for the lower risk crowd, which is what I am, this is actually a pretty sweet moment. Now, it's crypto, so it's going to be freaking volatile. So you have to have some stomach lining of lead. But from a breakout point of view, this is very, very sweet. Because let me just draw a line for you here. So you have basically these 2 highs here, right? We've broken through that. That was the last one. Broken through that. We've got a ton of volume down here. Hang on. Down there. Ton of volume, which is what we want. Build up of volume. Everything looks wonderfully hunky-dory. So something to look at, but obviously not a financial advice. You have to come to your own conclusion whether you want to be exposed to something as crazily volatile as MSTR. They were trading at $130 and then they went down to $615. Are you prepared for a 90% drawdown on your investment? If you are, then maybe look at it. If you're not, don't. You can buy the S&P. Okay, so it really, yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. Don't fall the I want to get rich by Friday thing, because you won't, because you'll bottle out halfway and you'll lose half money. So do two things: get yourself a 7-day trial to tradevision.io, play with our indicator, and I'm super excited about the masterclass I put together for you to actually show you how to trade stocks and how to invest in stocks. It's super simple. Anybody can do it. You don't need a special account. You don't need margins. You don't need options. You don't need anything. Just needs to be a stock investor, basically. If you're that, then I think you can really potentially optimize the way you do that and no longer buy stuff that is, falling and hitting you in the foot and is frustrating you for years. It's avoidable. Every single crash the market's ever seen is predictable. You look at the charts and you know how to look at them. So check that out, felixprehn.org/getfree. And I love you for watching. If you got some value out of this video, I'd love it if you shared it with people on your social or somewhere. That'd be amazing. We reach more people. We help more people. Our mission is to make 1 million people financially free. Come and join the gang. And thank you for tuning in. The biggest investing opportunity of a generation is right in front of our eyes, and most people are missing it. It's not the latest AI chip. It's not the latest robot or the latest EV company. It's something much more fundamental that every single one of those companies has to pay for.